Hey, it's Tammy Jersey Roberts. Welcome to Module 2 of Holistic Living. This module is living more sustainably and growing your own food. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So be sure that you download the guides for each one of these modules. Each module has a different guide that goes along with it. So just wanted to point that out in case you didn't notice that on the right-hand side of the membership area. So living more sustainably, we're going to be talking about what that means exactly and growing your own food. Like a lot of people, even if you just start small with that, it can sound overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I can't grow my own food. We're going to be talking about some simple ways to start looking at that. So I'm going to share my screen. And so living holistically, and we're going to be talking in module 2 about sustainability and growing your own food. So again, my name is Tammy Jersey Roberts. I'm a certified functional nutrition counselor through the Functional Nutrition Alliance. I help busy women start using more natural remedies in their homes, in their lives, with their families. So today we'll be talking about simplicity in the natural remedies. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, this mini class is for you. So what to expect? Living more sustainably means using the fewest amount of resources as possible in order to protect the earth and the climate. Today, we're going to be talking about things such as how to reduce waste in your home, how to grow your own food, and my top tips on growing your own herbs. So let's dig in and learn more about these simple ways to live more sustainably in your daily life. So I always have to do a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor or mental health professional, and I can't be held liable for any information here. This information is meant to provide you with relief from stress, burnout, and overwhelm. And if you do need medical assistance, definitely go see your doctor or mental health professional. Especially before you're making any dietary or lifestyle changes. So how to reduce your carbon footprint? Reducing your carbon footprint helps protect the earth. Here are a variety of different ways to limit the resources you use to benefit the environment. So first one is stop buying unnecessary things. Avoid buying products that are wasteful and unnecessary in your life. Choose stainless or glass bottles filled with filtered water at home instead of buying plastic water bottles. Use glass dishes and real silverware instead of paper plates, foam bowls, or plasticware. Switch to everyday items that can be reused or at least recycled. Eat naturally and locally. Get familiar with your local farmers markets. Buy local and natural foods that are native to your area. Shop at the local farmers markets. Some may even offer delivery and pickup services for produce, meat, eggs, and honey from farms in your area. This helps your local farming community provides you with fresher ingredients, and saves your environment due to less transportation and reduced materials for transport. Love this one. Start a capsule wardrobe. Minimize your wardrobe to select Minimize your wardrobe to a select group of pieces. Choose important pieces that you absolutely love and that will go with multiple styles that you enjoy wearing. This means you no longer buy new clothes just because they're trending. Put more thought into the clothes that you do buy and make sure each piece of clothing in your closet brings you joy. Start by removing items that you never wear or that you no longer enjoy. And don't save clothes that are the wrong size. I used to have clothes that were way too big and way too small, and I just got rid of them. I donated them to my local church mission. They have a big thrift shop, and I just took boxes and bags of clothes down there, and it felt so stress relieving to lighten me up and just get rid of all that stuff that I don't wear, I don't need, it doesn't look good on me, it doesn't fit me, whatever. It's just so freeing. And some people like to choose a few colors that they know look good on them. And when you do buy things, make sure you're buying that color palette so you can mix and match everything that you have. So you can always look a little bit different, but you have the clothes in your closet that you love. You have the clothes to wear that make you feel joy and happiness. Start a capsule wardrobe. Know what you can reuse or recycle. Learn what you can recycle and what can be reused. Sometimes you need to call the city waste department and just get a list of everything that's allowed to be in the recycle bins, and just go ahead and start separating those and go ahead and recycle it. It sounds kind of weird, but some people just aren't used to this yet, and they don't realize how freeing it actually makes you feel to feel like you're not filling up a land waste or a landfill. For example, it is hard to recycle plastic storage bags, but they it's hard to recycle plastic food storage bags, but they are actually reusable bags, at least for a few times, that they can be used. They can be used in place. It's easy to rinse them out and dry them. It's also easy, like I have, chopped onions in my freezer in a plastic bag, freezer bag. And, instead of throwing that bag away when it's empty, I just fill it up again with fresh chopped onions and, use the same bag and just rinse it out and fill it up again. It's no big deal, but it's one less plastic bag that I'm having to use. It doesn't sound like much, but it's one thing, and they all add up. When you empty a glass jar from, say, mayonnaise or pickles, rinse it out and put it in the glass recycling, or you can even reuse it as a food storage container. You can even reuse it sometimes to make your own fermented vegetables and pickles and things like that. Several recipes for refrigerator pickles that you don't have to boil it or anything like that. You just put them in a jar like this, close it up, and put it in the refrigerator. And there you go. Reduce waste in your home, and items that you use on a regular basis, including reusing and recycling. It's a great way to live more naturally and lets you be kinder to the environment. Reduce your carbon footprint and make use of as many materials as possible. Meal plan and cook at home. Meal planning and cooking more meals at home helps you reduce waste from processed foods and frozen food containers. Fast food restaurants wrap every single piece of food item, plus most leftover cartons are not recyclable. They're those styrofoam boxes, and they fill up your garbage and you can't recycle them. So cooking at home reduces waste. All that plastic and glass uses precious resources that ends up getting thrown away. The more you cook from home with fresh, whole ingredients, the less waste you're going to use. So reuse your containers. Many containers you purchase that hold different foods and ingredients, currently you're just throwing them out. But before you put anything in the trash, consider, can it be reused for something else? Plastic butter containers are a good size for a small amount of leftovers. Although I don't recommend that you buy butter in a plastic container, but in case you do, there you go. Just throwing out ideas here. Glass jam or olive jars can hold salads and other meal prepping ingredients. Some deli meats come in a plastic container that works great for bringing your lunch to work. So learn how to compost. Composting takes much of what you would have thrown away, and instead it returns it to the earth. Keep a compost bin at home and throw in items like eggshells, banana peels, avocado peels, potato peels, coffee grounds, avocado skin, vegetable scraps. Other compostable items, include grass clippings, printer paper, newspaper, paper towels, and other yard waste. You can add compost to your garden as a natural fertilizer, but you can also just dig a hole on the halo portion around your trees in your yard, and you can just dig little holes and bury the compost right there, and it'll fertilize that tree. And anything that's grown can basically be composted. Paper products can also be composted. Eggshells, as I mentioned. So there's a lot of things that you don't think about that you're filling up your garbage with, but can actually be, composted. If your leftovers are more than a day or two old, you probably don't want to eat them because they're probably growing bacteria in there. So you can go ahead and just compost it. So this is a fantastic way to give back to what the earth has given you to. Reduce waste in your kitchen. A lot of waste you go through in your home happens in the kitchen. The microfiber cloths you can use instead of paper towels. Single-use paper towels are such a waste, and they can't be recycled. Actually, some of them can be recycled. It just depends on what the package says. Microfiber cloths work just as well, if not better, to soak up spilled liquids, clean surfaces, dry your hands, and so much more. Get reusable baggies for lunches and snacks. Those plastic storage bags are not necessarily what you can reuse. BPA-free ones that are easy to rinse and keep using them over and over. Living naturally. Let's talk about growing your own food. Now, this is not about building a huge garden, even though that may be in your plan someday, but most people don't have the space for that. So living naturally encompasses many different areas, all of which are great for your physical, mental, and your emotional health. To boost your physical health even more, consider growing your own food. This is a great way to save money, have organic produce available to you, and reduce how much you need to buy from your local supermarkets. So why you might want to consider growing your own food? You'll save money. The more food you can grow on your own, the less you'll be spending at the farmers markets and the grocery stores. It saves a lot of extra trips to the store. You can run out in your backyard. Homegrown foods equals instant access. So you may need less trips to the grocery store. Creating meal plans that use up what you're growing in your home, what you're growing at home, can also help. So you build your meal plans around what you have in your garden. You'll also get fresh organic food. And believe me, you can taste the aliveness and the freshness and the difference. It's amazing. You have full control over how organic your food is. You can grow it without your own pesticides or herbicides, and allowing you to have the cleanest, freshest food possible. You're also going to notice how much less you need because you're satisfied because the food is so refreshing. So what you need to know beforehand, before you begin growing your own food, there are some important things to be aware of. This is a big transition for people, and it might change your lifestyle a bit with all the added care and the watering. So it takes time. Have patience when you first start growing your own food and your herbs. For example, lavender takes a few weeks to grow, but many other herbs, and produce, they can take much longer. So you do need some space. There are a lot of indoor gardens now that you can grow vertically, and there are other smaller gardens, or you can get like just a small patch in your yard. I recommend starting this small because you just don't want to be overwhelmed when you're spending your whole life out in this garden and getting overheated, and you want to make sure it's almost like practicing a little bit on a small space. So indoors or outdoors, and not only do you need space for the plants, but you can decide, if you want to start with seeds or with small plants, because some seeds or plants, they can't be grown near each other. So you need to do your research on this. And like I said, it's better to start small. Think minimal. Choose just a few different varieties instead of attempting to plant an entire garden full of fruits and vegetables right from the start. I mean, it will just be overwhelming and stressful. So tips for getting started: choose plants that are easy to grow. If this is your first time ever growing anything, start with something simple like strawberries, tomatoes, potatoes, garlic, onion, and most herbs are pretty easy to grow. And choose plants that are native to your area. Many plants will also grow indoors. So if you don't have a lot of space in your backyard, you can grow tomatoes, lemons, strawberries, and even avocados right in your home in small containers. The most important thing to remember is to do research, and planning is big, big. Start with easy plants and go from there. 5 tips for growing your own herbs. To be as holistic as possible, consider growing herbs from home. Not only can you use herbs to cook, but you can also use them for natural remedies. You'll save money and ensure you have the most organic herbs possible, and they're going to be instantly available. So number 1, have a plan. Take some time figuring out where you're going to place your garden, what you intend to grow, and the ways you're going to use the items that you grow. And how much room are you going to need? And definitely make sure that you're growing plants that you actually like them. Like if you don't like tomatoes, you're not going to grow those. The worst thing you can do is just go buy some seeds and fertilizer and start planting without having any plan on exactly what you're going to do beforehand, because you're just going to end up with a big mess. Number 2, decide between your seeds or your starter plants. There are 2 main ways to grow herbs. You can start them from seeds, or you can purchase plants that have already been started for you. Plants are best for beginners, and that's typically what I do. Get a drink of my water. The little starter plants are the easiest because they're already going for you. I have an indoor garden that comes from seed, but it's already, fertilized and they grow pretty easy. I'm talking about the arrow gardens. You've probably seen pictures of my arrow gardens in the Facebook group. So again, plants, and I think it's easier to just start with a few herbs because you don't want to get overwhelmed, and most of them grow really quickly, and a lot of them can totally overwhelm your garden, like lemon balm just grows like weeds. Become familiar with each herb. So before you start planning your herbs, understand what each herb is going to need for you to do as far as its care and growing it healthy. For example, mint grows very fast and works best in a container with only mint in it, because mint grows well in the sunlight, but you can also use it if you have a bit of shade. It'll still grow well, but it does need to be in its own container because it will just overtake everything. With rosemary, it grows better in cool climates that have sun, and it needs to be brought indoors during the winter. So herbs are generally perennial and they just grow year round. But you need to know like which ones are going to freeze and which ones you need to bring inside. So that's why I'm saying make your plan, figure out which ones you want to try to grow, and then do the research on them. So caring for your herbs, number 4. While many herbs can be grown indoors in planters, they still need to be close to a window. Some plants may need to be moved outdoors for at least a few hours in the summer and spring and the fall. is most herbs should get 3 to 4 hours of direct sunlight each day. So if they can get that through a window, that's great. If not, you may have to take them outside. So care includes sunlight and temperature control. Figure out how much water they're going to need, and you don't want to overwater them. And using the right soil, the right pH, and all this is going to come from your research. So again, harvest when ready. And something to keep in mind when harvesting your herbs is that the more often you do it when they're ready, the healthier the herb plant will continue to grow. So you definitely want to harvest them, and you can dehydrate herbs. You can freeze the herbs without dehydrating them. Again, look at each variety's instructions and, understand the harvesting guides. There's plenty of books you can get from the library. You can buy them online in bookstores. There's a lot of information out about growing herbs. So I urge you to give it a go. If you do have any questions, just hit me up in the Facebook group and I'll be happy to answer those. Believe that you're already in my Facebook group. So that's a wrap for today for Module 2. Module 3 coming up. I'm going to be talking about reducing chemicals in your home. So I'll see you in Module 3. Thank you. Awesome. See you soon.